Another update's just come out actually from Fabrizio about Benjamin Pavard. They said it's one to watch. He's like pushing to leave Bayern. Man United stalling because of McGuire. He says could become an option for Arsenal to replace Timber, but no decision yet. In Milan have him on their list as well. In terms of Pavard coming to the Premier League, do you see that being one that Arsenal, Man United will still push for later in this window?
Yeah, I mean, Man United obviously is hard right now, whereas Arsenal, it's not as difficult. They're looking to get a couple of people out right now. If you think Tavares, he's likely to go. I think Nottingham Forest in for him right now. There's talk around Tomiyasu, and obviously the fact that Timbers are injured immediately means that they've got a problem. Now, if you think João Cancelo has been a player that has been on their radar since before the summer, they love shopping at Man City, so that's always been an option. He's quite far down the road with the Barcelona deal. That's not tied up though, like that is not complete. So if anyone else was to come into that conversation, then it would be Arsenal. I think Cancelo to Arsenal would be a fantastic move. So I couldn't completely rule that out, despite the fact that he is a long way down the road to joining Barcelona. And if not, then Pavard seems like a very, very sensible option for Arsenal to go and look at. I mean, again, it would surely rattle Man United if that was to happen and they miss out on another guy that they should have through the door right now. I think this week should have been a week where United are announcing Amrabat and Pavard if the outgoings would have worked to their favour. If that now completely goes in the other direction and they end up joining Liverpool and Arsenal respectively, then Man United are in the mud.
We absolutely are, and I'm fearful of it. And I think that Man United fans might have brought this on ourselves by laughing at Liverpool. Me, the football gods, they watch, they listen, and they go, right, you're laughing, we're going to sort you out. Have some humility. But yeah, it could be a painful one, especially again if Arsenal go and take Pavard. I think it all depends with Arsenal in terms of the severity, because there's differing reports about Jurriën Timber. There was talk yesterday of 7 months. There's a report this morning on Sky that it's only a slight tear in the ACL and no other part of the knee is damaged. They've got to have the surgery on it. But if it's only a slight tear and no damage elsewhere, that's not a 7-8 month season-long ending injury anymore. The technology and the medicine now around ACL injuries is so much better than it was. I mean, it used to be an 18-month injury, like 10, 12 years ago. An 18-month or even a career ender. But I was listening to a podcast the other day with an MMA fighter with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how now, even when you completely rupture it and ruin it, they're able to do this stuff now where within the guy was saying, I had mine done, and within 4 months, I was back to full training. 4 months. I'm thinking to myself, so there's lots of options there. But I suppose they've got to have the operation first for Timber, then assess, because
I still think it's going to be 6 months. Yeah,
it probably is. But I suppose they've got to check and go, if we bring in Pavard and then he's back in 5-6 months, then what happens? You don't want an overcrowded squad. But again, they could pull this off, Arsenal. There's no doubt. In terms of attackers, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say they were linked with Simican as well, obviously coming into the summer. So that's one that probably holds half decent value as well. So just want to keep an eye on too and not forget, because these same names keep cropping up across the course of the summer and none of them have moved. But Simican is one of those.
In terms of Arsenal's attacking options, so they've been continuously linked to potentially bringing in another forward. Mohamed Kudus has been a name that they haven't progressed it beyond initial contacts. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago now, it was kind of announced that Brighton had an agreement with Ajax, but that hasn't progressed at all. Then there was talk of West Ham coming in. That hasn't progressed at all. Is this a case of Kudus waiting on a team like Arsenal to maybe push the go button? Or Arsenal just not looking at any other kind of attacking players to come in as far as you're aware?
So there was always this narrative at the start of the window, and I was trying to figure out obviously what Arsenal were doing beyond the stuff that everybody knew was happening. And we all like to talk about attacking players. And I was like, what's the possibilities of this happening? And it was always said to me, at the back end of the transfer window, if the outgoings have gone well and the outlay on players has gone in our favour, then there's definitely potential to bring in another forward. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, okay, well, the outlays have gone pretty reasonably. I mean, they knew what they were going to be spending on Declan Rice. The fact that they've just saved that cash on David Raya works in their favour. So they've still got money in the pot. The outgoings, there's still some work to be done, but it looks like a lot is about to happen. So I think the next week of outgoings will determine exactly what Arsenal can do. But there's the fullback problem. There's a defensive midfielder that they still talk about being a potential problem in terms of depth. So let's see whether they end up doing anything there. And then I think a lot will depend on what happens with Balogun. I mean, they want to get him out the door, but we don't know exactly what the terms are going to be around that deal at the moment. I mean, he's been talked about as a £50 million player, £50 million transfer. I think Tottenham were even linked the other day. A few other Premier League clubs have been linked too. But yeah, they need an offer, a big offer to arrive for Balogun. And that's the sort of deal that could trigger something else exciting for Arsenal in this transfer window. Whether it's Kudus or not, I'm not so sure. I mean, West Ham, I think, are quite frustrated with the fact that he hasn't come through yet. I did text someone on this before we came on, so I'm just checking to see if he's written back on it. Doesn't look like he has. But they've been waiting for an answer on Kudus for quite some time. They're still reasonably confident. I think that the problem is Kudus knows that, like, he's known all summer that, like, he had big potential in this transfer market, and at one point was obviously linked with Man United. So he's got aspirations to get, like, top end Premier League, and it would make sense for him to kind of sit that out at the moment. I know West Ham still funny looking into Jesse Lingard as an option for this summer. So Jesse Lingard might yet be back in the fold at West Ham, which is one to look out for.
I've sort of seen that. I've seen those kind of links and everything else, and I've seen a lot of big West Ham
in that, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him sharing what he said to Steve Bartlett, the podcaster, about how West Ham showed him no love, and all the West Ham fans say, "No, we showed you love. You just wanted more money than we were willing to offer you to do one." Football fans are like that, but look, I thought it was a big mistake for him last year not joining West Ham and joining. The irony,
yeah.
The irony is they might have offered you an extra $100,000 a week, but it was a 1-year contract. Where West Ham were probably offering you a 4 or 5 year contract. So over the course of that contract, you'd have potentially earned more money.
It was a bad year for him, yeah.
I thought he might have ended up in somewhere like Saudi, because he seems. I mean, he'd kill it at the level there. He would kill it. He'd probably earn 400,000 or 500,000 a week tax free, but it depends on what he wants. Like, I still feel like I get the feeling with Lingard. There's something about him he wants to prove himself. Still, I still feel that if you were to get him to be honest, I think he feels, I'm better than I've shown, And when I went to West Ham, I was able to show everybody my absolute top quality. And then again, the following season, we Man United were wrong. We should have let him go. We should never have kept him. We should have. Again, that's why we're such a stupid club. We literally could have got about 25-30 million pounds, maybe more for him after that loan spell, and then we kept him. He left for nothing. That's how stupid. That's dumb. My club are when it comes to exits. You actually loan someone out, and they do. Even with how the hell we haven't got decent money for Henderson already, when he's had 2 brilliant loan spells away from the club, and we haven't gone and got in this market 30-odd million for him. It's mind-boggling. He's
one Onana injury away from being your number 1 keeper, so you might have him in the sticks soon.
Mate, this is true. But I just look at the amount of money we don't raise through selling players, because it's almost like we hold on a little bit too long to see if we can get even better, and we end up blowing our load here. There's an update here from someone that says Inter Milan are set to submit an offer for Bayern Munich's Benjamin Pavard, who remains Man United's priority target in case Harry Maguire's departure. Again, this is where the club needs to be mindful here. And I know we don't like to overspend money, but this shows you the ambition of the board. Because if you're going to lose your number 1 target before you sell someone, then there's egg on your face, because you've got to go and buy him. He's not even that expensive. You've got to go and buy him. And I think we've got to turn around, because I still think the McGuire situation with West Ham can be revived. If you turn around and say to the player, we'll pay you that. And this is the stupid part about it. It's only going to cost 90,000 a week. What's that? So that's just under 5 million quid. I think it works out about 7 million to pay him off. 7 million to pay McGuire off is money well spent to have him and his toxicity out of the football club. Then you get Pavard, you improve that area, you remove someone that the manager doesn't want, you remove someone that could become divisive, remove someone that leaks information, remove someone who's been a problem at the football club. It's ridiculous not to. And then imagine you lose your number 1 target and you keep someone that you don't want. Honestly, when you say it out loud, it does not make any sense whatsoever. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is true.
Terry, how did Rasmus Hojlund pass his medical check with a back injury? Well, because you can be there's an injury and if they'd have checked it and gone, this is chronic, and in the next 3 years you're not gonna be able to walk, they wouldn't have signed him. But it's not even as bad as people are saying. He's already training on grass. It's about fitness levels. So whenever you see a footballer training on grass in boots, they're not that far away from returning, and there's no signs that he's got long-term issues or anything like that. So yeah, I wouldn't personally. I'm not too worried or concerned. And we have a super chat here from Per, who says Arsenal fans telling Chelsea fans to demand trophies. They better keep that same energy for our club this season. Major trophy or bust. Do you feel that about Arsenal as well? Because they'll be going up. They'll be going into their fifth year of Arteta this year. He'll complete 4 years and be 4.5 years into his job by the end of the season. Okay. Spent 700 million themselves. Do you think it's right that Arsenal fans are now demanding big major trophies as a return on that investment in Arteta?
I mean, yeah, I hadn't really thought of it from this point of major trophy or bust, but I mean, I guess you probably should have those demands on them. The problem, I would say, is that every club is now having these same expectations. So you're suddenly, for this season, Man City expect trophies without doubt. Chelsea should, without doubt, expect to win a trophy. Arsenal should expect to win a trophy. Newcastle are getting to the stage where they're going to expect a trophy. And then you've got clubs like Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham. Well, no, I'll leave Tottenham out of it for now. Man United, Liverpool, who certainly want to be in that conversation. Like, they can't all win trophies, so someone's always going to fall short. And look, Arsenal, I think it was good for them to get their hands on the Community Shield, no doubt about it. But it's a different type of final. It's a different pressure. And it'll be really interesting to see how their mentality shapes up over the course of this season to properly compete when it matters. That's what I would say is still slightly lacking from Arsenal. Like, for everything they gave last season, they still fell short. And yes, they've added something different to them over the course of this summer. But Kai Havertz and Declan Rice and Jurrien Timber, they're still not like completely convincing of having the mindset to go and win, trophy after trophy, season after season. But they need the first one. I'll be going all out for like the Carabao Cup or something if I was Arsenal, just to make sure you got something under your belt.
Yeah, listen, I think they have to demand. I don't agree with the notion of major trophy or bust as a blanket statement. You have to contextualize. If Arsenal miss out on the Premier League title by 1 point, but do better than last year in terms of goals, defensively, win more games, they get to a Champions League semi or a final and narrowly lose. They pick up a League Cup as in that whole process, and the trajectory is still good. You don't sack the manager. However, they finish fourth, 25 points off the top, go out early in the Champions League and win nothing, then I think you look at that situation and maybe say, we've built a brilliant squad. Maybe we do need a better manager. So I think that you have to contextualize these things, and you have to look at the lay of the land. Maybe, and I'm touched any club I'm saying this for, I'm not trying to put this on Arsenal. You get 4 or 5 of your main players out with major injuries all season, which just happened to teams before. Again, you have to contextualize the situation. But as a general rule, I agree with Per that they now need to be challenging for the major trophies year in, year out with what they've spent, what they've invested, and the quality of the team they've got. The same as we expect from Liverpool, the same as people are now going to expect from Chelsea, Man United and City. I don't see Arsenal should never have a pass on that, because all the big teams, all the giant clubs around Europe that spend money have those expectations on them. And when you actually look at the fact that the Premier League has spent, in fact, Arsenal this summer, Man United will probably get there. City definitely. City will when they get Paqueta. Liverpool probably will in the end. And Arsenal have all spent more than the entire league in Spain. Spain have only spent 258 million euros on players so far this summer. Yeah. All the big teams in England have pretty much in and around done that. So even when it comes to Europe, and you look at, I know Real Madrid have already got good players, Barca have got good players. With what our clubs can invest, we should be looking at ourselves and saying, well, we should not be getting beat by the vast majority of Europe, because their whole league can't even afford to spend what each of our clubs spend. So the expectation should be massively high on our clubs. There's no doubt about it. Even though the Real Madrids and Bayern Munichs have still got world-class players and are favourites, as a general rule, when you're outspending them year in, year out, you have to expect to at some point even overtake those teams. You can't sit behind them.
100%.
Nana here says top 3 and a trophy is the expectation. That's for Chelsea. I don't think
Chelsea.
that'd be a good first season really under Poch. Top 3, a trophy. If Poch can break that Premier League, that English duct of getting a trophy, I think that gets a massive monkey off his back as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Top 3. I'd say that's exactly the same expectation I would have at Arsenal. I mean, even to repeat what they did last season in the league, I think is going to be extremely difficult. So if they can come close to that and finish second or third and hunt down a trophy, then I think that's good for them too.